Hello and welcome to another video here on Ronnie the Reader. Today we are going to be reading some books that were part of Reese Witherspoon's book club selection. So I think Reese Witherspoon picks a book every single month for her book club to read. And I actually ended up going with some of the ones that were mystery thriller selections for her book club. The first book that I did read actually started and read last summer, and so that was Lucky. And then I ended up reading First Lie Wins, which is a fairly new release. It just came out in January and was, I think, the January book club selection for Reese Witherspoon. And then finally, the last book is Something in the Water by Catherine Stedman that I ended up reading for this video. So I'll get into the vlog portion of this, and then you'll see me at the very end here wrapping up the last book and the video overall. So let me know, or I guess you'll let me know at the end, but in this video, I'm basically just going to be kind of recapping a little bit of the plot of each book and then kind of how I'm feeling at the 50% mark and then when I finish the books. So yeah, that is everything for now. I will send it over to me last summer when I read Lucky almost a full year ago at this point. And then we'll pick up again with First Lie Wins and Something in the Water, which I just read within the last couple of weeks. Hi, and welcome to the first official update in this vlog. How far am I? I'm like 28% into Lucky. I'm listening to this as an audiobook, and so far, like I said, I'm on like 28% of the way through. I'm on chapter 7. And it's good so far. I mean, it's very average. We haven't really gotten to the premise yet. The premise is that this girl it's basically a con artist. She's a scammer, on her scammer bag, whatever. And she wins the lottery and starts, I guess, a life. I don't know. I'm just to the point where she's kind of discovered that she has this winning lottery ticket. So each chapter is told in 2 different timelines. One is her present day, which is taking place in 2008, actually. And then the other is her as a child starting when she is 10. When she's like with her father, basically learning how to scam because that's like essentially how they make their money. And like I said, it's just very average so far. There's nothing like super intense pulling me into the story. It is just kind of sad to read about this little girl whose father is just like driving her around the US and like teaching her how to scam people out of money. It's just kind of sad. Yes, Lynch? Come here. And so it's just like fine, I feel like I'm just repeating myself a lot. I'm definitely gonna finish it. It's not bad. The writing's not bad. It's very readable, listenable since I'm kind of listening to it as an audiobook. But is it going to be something right now that I think is going to be mind-blowing and like stick with me? No, I think it's kind of not obvious where the stories are going because there's definitely, at least at this point, a couple of threads that it could go down. So yeah, we'll see. I'll probably give another update after 50% and then another update when I finish. So okay, it is now 2 days later and I am 75% of the way through Lucky by Marissa Stapley. Why do I keep forgetting who this is by? Probably because it's kind of a forgettable book. Ooh, like, to be honest, yeah. I am now 75% of the way through the book, and I mean, it's just okay. Like, it's not bad. There's nothing egregious. It's a fine story. Do I find it that thrilling or exciting? Not particularly, if I could speak English. So it's just okay. Some of the twists that have occurred I feel like are kind of obvious, which I've kind of noticed this trend in Reese Witherspoon book club picks because, I have read others. This is not like my first read by her. I've read, I think, at least 2, maybe 3 before this, I want to say. And so, they do kind of all have the same vibe. They are very centered on women's stories overall. And I can definitely feel like we are supposed to really connect with this main character. And not that I'm not connecting with her, but I just feel like I don't know her. Not even that I don't know her, that she just feels a little flat to me. I feel bad for her. Like, the things that have happened to the character are upsetting. You know, she's had a hard life. It is really sad. I mean, her dad completely conned her entire childhood, and you know, she never got to have like a real sense of belonging or anything, and that is sad for that to be happening to someone, even if it's just a character you're reading about. But the actual character of Lucky, both in present and past timelines, because it's still being told in the dual timeline, is not making me feel like I am exactly rooting for her, or that, I don't know, that she is like some scrappy underdog. I don't know. Maybe I'm not really making sense, but it's just there's no connection there, and the side characters are very flat and kind of one-dimensional, very kind of cartoony villain for a lot of the like villains in the story. Now we did just get to part 2, and I started listening to it briefly for like 30 seconds as the audiobook, and I don't know what's going to happen, obviously, but like I said, I kind of saw some of the twists coming based off the prologue. I figured that prologue was going to come back in part 2 of this book. Yeah, I am excited to see where it goes. I feel like if it pulls up some like massive twist that I don't see coming, then it could really bump itself up to maybe like a 3.5 or a 4. Definitely not a 5-star read. It's very solidly still in that 3-star range. Very average, very fine. You could read it really in a day if you wanted to. Like, I'm just kind of taking my time with it because it's not really sucking me in to be compulsively listening to it or anything like that. So yeah, that is kind of my 75% update. And I know originally I was going to do like 50%, but I figured I'd just wait till the end of part 1 and start of part 2, which ended up being about 75%. So there's only 2 hours left of the audiobook. So I really could like finish it super quickly. I probably will end up finishing it tonight, but probably won't update you on it until tomorrow. So yeah, the next time you will see me though, I'll be finishing this book and giving my final ratings and final thoughts. Hello, it is 6:30 in the morning. I am just on my way to go pick up my friend Connor for a hike. But I wanted to just take a little bit of time here to go ahead and tell you about Lucky, because I did finish it yesterday morning. I finished Lucky yesterday morning, and like I mentioned, overall, it's going to be a 3-star rating. It didn't really do anything to shock me or anything like that. And to be fair, I don't really know if it was trying to. Like, I don't know if the point of the book was to be super shocking or, like, revealing. It was more of just kind of like a thriller versus a mystery. There were some mysterious elements. You could really see where the book was going. And I really feel like I was saying in the last clip, the main point of the book was more so to just be kind of about family and about women's issues and things like that, which I've kind of gotten the vibe, I think, is mainly what Reese's book club's selections, just overall, not even just the mystery thrillers, but just overall, that's, I think, the vibe that they kind of go for as far as collections are concerned, or like ones for the book club. And so, you know, because like I said, this is not the first Reese's book club that I've read ever, but I am kind of trying out some more for this video. So I'm curious to see if the other two kind of in the same direction that this one went, kind of relating more so around a central figure of a woman or maybe 2 women and kind of their struggles and their issues in society. Far and about Lucky, you know, I don't have too much to say about it, but it was a fine read. It wasn't bad. Will I remember this book in a year's time? Probably not. So, you know, it is what it is, but that's all I have. So until I start the next book. So I'm now 50% of the way through First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This is a brand new release and Reese's book club pick for the month of January 2024. Following a woman named Evie Porter who is working as, I guess you could say, like a spy. She essentially is consuming different identities and infiltrating people's life. She has a mysterious, like, unknown boss just that they call Mr. Smith. So at the 50% of the way mark, I'm really enjoying this book. It's super fast-paced and pretty interesting. It's kind of written in that style where like every chapter ends on like not necessarily a cliffhanger, but there's like a little detail that makes you want to continue and just know like what's next in the story and what's going to happen, you know, when you start that next chapter. It is kind of told in some alternating timelines from kind of the present day with Evie. And then it also goes into some examples of some of the past jobs that she has worked for Mr. Smith at this point. So I don't really know where the book is kind of going. I obviously don't want to say too much because of spoilers, and I am only at the 50% mark. But like I said, so far it is really good. I'm enjoying it a lot. I definitely didn't really have any expectations going into the book. I didn't really know what to expect this to compare to the only other book that I've finished at this portion of the video, which is Lucky, which, full disclosure, I actually read Lucky in summer of 2023, and the clips that you have seen from that are from summer 2023, and the rest of this video is not being filmed until January/February of 2024. So it has been a little bit, but Lucky felt a lot more generic, and something that I've noticed both from Lucky and other Reese's book club picks that I've picked that I've kind of, I believe, discussed in prior videos, is that a lot of them do center on kind of relationships, especially between women and like their mothers and families, but really highlighting that mother relationship. And this book is definitely following along on that theme so far. The relationship between Evie and her mother is gotten some focus already in the first half. That's pretty, I would say, crucial to understanding her character and where she's coming from, and kind of exactly what is driving her and what has driven her to be working in this role for Mr. Smith. So that, I think, can definitively say like that's definitely a theme that has come up a lot. So yeah, I'm just really liking it so far. I've been listening to it all within one day. Today is a Sunday that I'm listening to it. And like I said, I'm 50% of the way through, so I'm probably just going to finish it tonight, finish it all in one day, knock it out, and then give you a quick update, you know, later tonight when I do finish the book. So yeah, this one I'm really happy is super quick. As far as just like a review, like I said, it's super quick, super fun, super fast paced. So right now it's definitely on track to be a 4 to 5 star, like anywhere in that range. There's really nothing that's happened so far that would like knock it down, but also like while I am enjoying it, it's not exactly like, oh my god, I just need to like keep reading. It's fun, but also like I could take a break for a little bit. Like it's not like I need to know right now. So that's where I'm at. Okay, so you're getting this final update from my bathroom because I was cleaning in my bathroom when I finished this audiobook. But anyway, so I finished First Line Wins by Ashley Elston. And I actually think I'm gonna rate this 5 stars. Like, I literally just finished it like 10 minutes ago. So it hasn't had time to really sink, so maybe I will change that rating. But honestly, I just didn't have any issues with this book. I thought it was super fun, super fast-paced. There was some interesting twist at the end that one of which I genuinely did not see coming. So there were significant like red herrings to where you are, you know, just kind of unsure like what is happening, what's going on with this story. And so it just was overall good. So I don't have any major issues with it, but will this book like super stick with me in the future? I don't know. So that's why I'm like struggling whether I should do like a 4, a 4.5, a 5. I don't know. It's definitely between a 4 and a 5. I don't know my final rating yet, but I would definitely recommend this one. I think that this was interesting enough to where there could be some interesting discussions kind of about the aspects of the book. I think one thing that was slightly lacking, if I had to pick out like a flaw of some sort, it is one of those books where I think the ending wraps up almost in like a too neat of a way, but you know, that's not like a super detrimental thing to the whole book or the whole experience or anything of that nature. So that's why I'm like, it's not really that important overall. But yeah, this was definitely a solid pick. I definitely enjoyed this more than Lucky, obviously. Yeah, that's really it. All that I have to say for First Line Wins. This is definitely a solid release, solid mystery thriller. I definitely still recommend. So that's everything for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and start reading the next book. So I've embarked on my next book on this video, and that is Something in the Water by Catherine Steadman. I did not know anything about this book or like the plot or synopsis or anything going into it before I actually started the book. And I'm about 40% of the way through now. I think I'm on chapter 18. I'm listening to it as an audiobook. And the book seems to be about a woman named Erin who is marrying a man named Mark. And they, it does take a little bit to kind of get into the plot, but eventually they kind of get married and go on their honeymoon, and then they find something on their honeymoon trip, and that seems to be like the inciting incident, and that's kicking off our book. Sorry, I have a toy that my cats were playing with right behind me. That seems to be our inciting incident that's kind of kicking off the plot, but that really happens like around like the 20% mark, like 20-25% mark. And the book it's very odd to describe. I feel like I'm also very far away. Let me scoot up. The book, it's odd to describe, like the way I was thinking about it, and like how it's like being approached is it kind of feels like a cloud, like things, ideas, thoughts from our main character, Erin, just kind of be floating in this cloud. And it's very hard to really like grasp at anything solid in this book. There seems to be this just kind of aura around it, and Erin herself has these moments in the narrative that are odd, I would say. She'll be in the middle of kind of a thought, mostly surrounding conflict, like where she's having conflict with others or conflict within herself, and then she's very quick to jump to a rationalization of that conflict, or why she herself should be acting a certain way, or why the other person in the conflict. So far in the book, it's mostly been her fiance or husband, Mark, kind of why they and him specifically are acting in a certain way or making certain decisions. And it's just very odd, but it's making for an interesting reading experience. Like, it's very intriguing. I'm very pulled into the story. The opening chapter of this book, I feel like I can say, I don't know, it may be slight spoiler for the opening chapter, but it essentially opens on Erin burying Mark's body, or at least what we're led to assume is Mark's body. Interesting, like, want to know how we get there. I don't know if that's going to be like the 50% mark that we're going to get there, or if it's going to be a little bit later, or if that's going to be something saved for the very end of the book. I don't know, and I'm definitely interested to find out. Yeah, this book I've seen around a lot. I think it was in the Goodreads Choice Awards in maybe 2019 or 2020. I forget when the book was published. Whatever year it was published, I think it was in the Goodreads Choice Awards. And I know that Catherine Steadman has some other books out now. And there's one coming out later this year that sounds pretty intriguing that I actually put on my most anticipated books of 2024 list, which I actually think I might do. Side note, I think I might do an updated part of that later on in the year. As far as Something in the Water, really intriguing. It has your kind of standard feel and fare of a mystery thriller, but like I said, with kind of that like cloud aesthetic, cloud aura going on, it's just really interesting and different, and kind of pulls you into the story. But I'm just super interested to see where it kind of goes from here. All right, so I am back, and I am wrapping up the Something in the Water and the kind of this vlog in general. It's been a long process getting here. And unfortunately ends on a little bit of a low note. So I finished Something in the Water by Catherine Steadman and ultimately gave this book a 3.5 star, mostly because in the end there, like the back half felt very meandering. I thought this book was a little too long. The audiobook version that I listened to was about 12 hours. I think maybe slightly less. And I thought like a good 2 to 3-ish hours of that could have been slimmed down and trimmed out. It just felt like there was a lot of superfluous information and just a lot of in the long run, not necessarily important events going on and scenes taking place. I think actually what I would do is probably cut out a lot of the beginning, to be honest. I think the end was fine, but because we had already had so much buildup in the beginning that I just don't think was necessarily like that important or added that much in the story for the long term and the long term outcome. It just was kind of like a finally I'm reaching the end kind of feeling that at least I was having towards the end of this book. Now I know this book is like super popular. Everyone is like, not everyone, but I know I've seen a lot of people talk about like how this book was really good. It was really shocking. They kind of didn't see the twists in it coming. And I felt like it was pretty obvious, and not that the book wasn't good. Like I gave it 3.5 stars in the long run. So it was fine. It was enjoyable. Like I did think that the plot was interesting and engaging and intriguing. Like that's really the only reason I did finish it, because I did want to know kind of how everything was playing into each other and how the storylines were going to connect and everything was going to wrap up. But I can't say that I was like super shocked by anything, or that I found there to be many like interesting or intriguing twists. It felt very, very kind of not like flat, because there definitely was exciting parts, but you can kind of see where the story is going at a certain point and to a certain extent. So that's just ultimately how I ended it and how this whole video ends. So I've now read multiple books from Reese's book club, and I've also read other books outside of this video that she had included in her book club. A book that I did start for this video and I actually just really wasn't into it. And it's something that I think I'll return to in the future, but it's The House in the Pines by Anna Reyes. I definitely planned on finishing that book for this video, and I just never ended up doing that. And I've read a couple of other books, like I said, outside. And ultimately, I think my assertion that I made a while back of her books having similar themes that she picks is very true. A lot of the books that she picks, at least in the mystery thriller category, are usually very, very simple. And I don't mean that in like a demeaning way, but the stories themselves are more about the characters and how they are emotionally dealing with what's happening to them versus the actual plot and the shocking nature of these mystery stories. Because a lot of the mysteries are, super basic in the long run. Like they are kind of obvious. They're not anything that will leave your jaw on the floor. I think the most successful one is her most recent pick in First Line Wins by Ashley Elston, I think is the author's last name. All of these were fine selections, and I definitely will probably end up picking more books that, Reese Witherspoon ends up picking for her book club in the future. But it's not like I am gonna be dying to pick up anymore. And I was glad to do this experiment because those books do typically get pushed a lot and do get a heavy promotion cycle because they are picked for Reese's book club. And knowing now kind of the books that ends up going into the book club selection for those, I know a little bit more about what those books are going to be about or what I'm getting from them prior to actually reading them, which is always important. Like, as someone who wants to go into books kind of as blind as possible and not know a whole lot about them, I am happy to be able to look into books that maybe share certain themes or elements without getting maybe spoiled on plot elements, to kind of know what I'm getting before I decide to dive into it. So yeah, ultimately I'm happy that I did this. It's kind of a low energy, a bit of a bummer ending. I didn't really have any standout books from this video, like definitely new favorites. While First Lie Wins was very, very good and I really enjoyed it and it was a fun, thrilling, kind of twisty ride, it's definitely a book that I would not say is one of my favorite mystery thrillers of all time. So that is everything for this video. Thank you for watching it, and let me know if you've read any of these books or if you've read any of Reese Witherspoon's other mystery picks, and we will just kind of go from there. So once again, thank you so much, and I will talk to you in another video soon. Bye.